Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Last week I posted this on Facebook and I got one actual response. I did get an extra comment on the response that I got, but I did only get the one response to my question, so I'm going to give it a go. Let's see if I can turn canned carrots into something delicious. Alright, like most canned goods, carrots need to be rinsed before you can work with them, because they take on the flavor of whatever they're stored in, and in this case I do believe it is some sort of oil. So you want to get cold water, and it does need to be cold water, and you want to spend 2 to 3 minutes rinsing these, keeping them moving so that you're getting every single one of these carrots with the cold water. Now, these guys are already cooked. You can also check to throw out any of the ones that don't look up to your liking. But you can go ahead and taste these to see when they are at when they no longer have that briny taste to them. Alright, and once these guys are thoroughly rinsed, you're going to take some sort of vessel. I'm using this because it just works really well for me. You're going to take these and try to get all the water out of there that you can. And in this situation, you don't even have to bother drying these. Just drop them straight in. That one's not pretty, so I don't want that one in there. But, well, you know what? I'm going to blend it up anyways. Might as well. Alright, you can put these in your container of choice, and we're going to take these over to the cutting board. Alright, so last week you saw me use the whisk attachment for this guy. And this week, I'm actually going to use the immersion blender for it. And we're going to see how well that gets us. You are, for this, going to need some milk, which I have, and just your carrots. I'm not going to season this at all now because I'm going to be adding other stuff to it in just a little bit. Now, I'm going to attach my piece. And I have about 1 cup of milk here, and this is all the milk I'm going to need for this whole recipe. You don't need to pour a lot of milk into this. Okay, just a little bit. I didn't even use 1/8 of a cup here. So you're going to take just your immersion blender and stick it right down in there. Alright, with that thoroughly blended, here, let me grab a spoon really quick so I can show you. I'm going to need it here in a minute anyways. So with that thoroughly blended, and you can see it looks kind of like baby food right now, honestly. We are going to go ahead and spoon out some of that good, just right back into the bowl. Zero food waste here, people. You are actually going to be sticking this right back in here in just a minute, so you don't have to clean it overly much. I am going to put this down, and we're going to season this just a little bit with some cinnamon, and a touch of nutmeg. You don't need to add very much of nutmeg. It is overpowering if you go a little overboard. I used maybe 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and right at this point about 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. You will have the ability to taste and add more as you go. I'm also going to add just a little bit of vanilla. About a capful is plenty. You can't really go wrong with vanilla. Okay? And just mix that in there really good. Now, I have here about a cup of some pancake mix that my wife bought not too long ago, and I've got to use it, so might as well. You can do this with crepe batter. In fact, if you want to, there's going to be a link down below for my video on crepes. But let's go ahead and get that in there. And I'm not going to right away go in with that mixer. Because I want to get an idea of my batter beforehand. Alright. Now this is pretty thick. You could actually already make regular pancakes with this. But that's not what I'm after. So I'm going to take this and pour some milk in there. Alright, take your spoon out. And now is where you're going to go back in with this guy. Now I can already tell from looking at this, and you can too, when I pull it out, that it did not thin out very much. And we do need it to be pretty thin for what we're going for. So I'm going to add a little bit more milk and go back to town. Now you can do all of this with a spoon if you want to. But my wife bought me the tools. I might as well use them. And that is still not quite thin enough. We might actually use this whole cup of milk. Alright, that looks to be about the right consistency. It runs off pretty easy. Now, there are no eggs or anything in this, so now is the opportunity to test. I'm just getting every ounce of this batter off of here that I can before I wash it. But you can go ahead and taste it at this point. Could use a little bit more cinnamon. And actually, a touch more vanilla. Give that a mix. And retaste. There you go. That's a lot better. Now this needs to sit for a little while. So while that's going, on to the next step. So the next step is actually pretty easy. You need half a block of cream cheese. If you're doing a bunch of people, you can actually do the whole block, but I am only going to do half because we've already had dinner. My kids don't need that much for dessert. And what I do is just plop it down into a bowl. You can see it's not wanting to come off the baggie here. Alright. And then wrap this back up. This guy needs to go back in the fridge. Alright, so we're going to cut this up just a little bit in the bowl, if it'll come off. You just want to make it to where you can get to it. Now, I'm going to stick this in the microwave for about 45 seconds. After about 45 seconds, it's going to be at a lot creamier consistency, and that's what you want. So to that, I'm going to take some maple syrup. Now, different people have different tastes. I want about a tablespoon and a half in there for now. And I'm just going to use my handy dandy butter knife that I've already been using to get in there and mix that up really good. You don't need any air or anything in this. You're just doing this as a filling of sorts. Alright. You have the... So go ahead and give that a little bit of a taste. That can actually be just a hair sweeter. So we're going to sweeten that up just a little bit. And this part really is to just your preference. If you don't want to do the maple syrup, you don't have to. But I think it just makes it taste really good. Alright. There is the next step done. I'm going to set this out of the way. In the meantime, we're on to step 3. Alright, before we do anything in step 3, turn your burners on under your pans. I turn them on to a medium-high, and I've got 2 skillets here. I have a smaller skillet for my initial, and then a slightly larger skillet to flip them into. I found that this way works better for me than trying to flip anything by hand. Yes, it uses more dishes, but I personally get a better result. Now, the next step, we are actually going to make whipped cream again. Now, if you watched last week's video, you already know how to do that. I'm just going to add a little bit of maple syrup to it. Keep my flavors consistent. And just a dribble of vanilla. Attach my whisk to my blender, and away we go. Alright, there's our whipped cream. You will know your whipped cream's done when you can turn it sideways like this and it doesn't fall. With your whipped cream done, it's on to the last of it. Alright, so at this point my pans are hot. I have small pan, I have big pan, I have plate for them to land on. Now my pans are hot, so I'm actually going to turn them down quite a ways. Take ye old spray, because despite these being non-stick pans, ye old spray goes a long way. And we are just going to spoon a little bit in there. And you want to swirl that all the way around. Look, it's not going to be pretty. But in my kitchen, the goal isn't pretty. In my kitchen, the goal is, does it taste good? Alright, so you guys can see it's bubbling on top, but around the edges it is not quite done, so it is not time to flip that over yet. So we're going to give that just a minute more. And I actually got a little bit too much batter in here this go round. But that's okay, because the person that's going to eat this one is probably me. Alright, so when that is able to come free of the pan quite easily, go ahead and take it directly over the top of your other pan, and 1, 2, 3. That's it. Let that sit there for a couple of minutes to cook the other side. Give this a little bit. Give this a stir. Pour a little bit of batter in there, and this time I didn't get enough batter. So this one's going to be small. You can see that time I did not get nearly enough batter, but that's okay. This one can be for my son. Alright. So this only needs a minute or so on this side. So what I want to do is just take my, what I call my setting plate, and set it right down on there. And that time it actually pulled it in half. So we want to unfold it. Alright, this smaller one is actually cooking a lot faster, so we can go ahead and, oh no. And see, that's how you know, guys. I am doing this for real. Mistakes happen. I got a little crummy there. Put it over there. One more spray down. There we go. Alright. And see, that one came out the thinness I wanted and about the right size I wanted. So that's perfect. Alright, take this and do just like we did before. Flip it over there. I'm going to give this one actually a minute or so longer than the last ones I gave. Just to get it caught up. Add some more spray to that because we do not want it sticking over there either. Alright, that's pretty good around the edges, so we're going to... I flipped it on its side again. I'm going to try one more time. Tilt-a-whirl. Alright. I promise, I'm not ignoring my children. For my sanity, I'm going to do it that way this time. Alright, bring this over and there we go. It's not perfectly round, but it went in there just like I wanted. And that's all that matters to me. We're going to let this cook for just a minute. Alright. That is probably done. So we're going to spatula that right over there. I'm going to plate a couple of these up now. I can make the rest. for my kids here in a little bit. Alright. So we take one of these and we lay it down here. And I take just a little kid's spoon. This helps portion control on this. And you want to lay a pretty decent layer in there. And then just spread that out. Doesn't need to be over the whole thing, because once that's in there, we're going to take this and roll it. I promise I'm not neglecting my children. My wife is out there with them. And we're going to take another pretty small spoon, and you can use, you know, a piping bag if you've got one, but I am choosing not to set one up. I'm only going to spread this along the side because I'm going to go ahead and take this other one and go ahead and set up one more. Alright. And then roll it. Scoot it over. And whipped cream it. And you'll see that that whipped cream is falling right off. And that is because it is super warm. Oh no, I'm just falling all the way apart today. There we go. Alright, so we've got our cream. You've got whipped cream on there. You've got your kind of sort of crepes. They're kind of right in the middle. And then right at the end, I choose to drizzle a little bit of more maple syrup on there. And there you have it. These are my carrot crepe cakes. They're not quite crepes, they're not quite pancakes. Hey you guys, thanks for tuning in and watching this. If you've stayed here to the end, thank you. If you could, please leave a like on this video and comment down below of other canned foods you would like to see me try to do something with. I promise I'm going to transform it from whatever it is into something completely different. That is the goal here. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great night. See ya.